All right, this is 7-Eleven that is stalking at 204 North Euclid Avenue, doing so with the military that does so as I capture the fake son. 7-Eleven that's threatening my life. While the entity is documented, the entity engaged in those tactics of psychological torture and threatening. So the corporate entity itself, this is how you're analyzing the entity's pattern of conduct, and they're going to be prosecuted. That's impossible audible activity. The train is not that loud. It's not even flowing by. The entity's gang stalking with helicopter and furtherance of murder to threaten, and all of these third parties are threatening together. This is federal prison for everybody here. And that is not even METROLINK. It's Union Pacific, P.O.C. This is federal prison. The employees of they're monitoring while they're maintaining purchases. This is P.O.C. P.O.C. They're all stalking together with the entity that's stalking by helicopter. That's why they're here. They're not all ignorant. This is the pattern of conduct of a bunch of demons who are psychopaths and targeting with the U.S. military. That's why the helicopter activity and the fake son are here. This is the unpersuasive and highly unintelligent system as you document it, and they're subject to prison when they're stalking with the U.S. military in furtherance of murder. And 7-Eleven and Gulf are being federally prosecuted. That's the corporate entity. This is P.O.C. The entity is psychopathic, and so they engage in threatening and stalking in that manner, including Upland police that are going to be disbanded. That's a threat. I documented this morning Ontario police who are going to prison, stalking on the roads and the highways. All right, that's what that is under the fake son, which I took a picture of this morning on this same street, which is the P.O.C. The entity that is stalking with the U.S. military. That's not coincidentally, but pursuant to a pattern of conduct of surveillance on my device, surveillance of me, while Union Pacific is using the METROLINK train line, while all these demons are stalking on the roads and the highways. And this is how a government is stalking you from place to place. This is speaking to everybody that's going inside of the Upland Public Library. It includes Alan, Adam Tuckerman, Joy, Brianna, Carissa, Laura, Elizabeth, all the demons that are gang stalking by place of employment. They're all going to federal prison. They're engaged in systematic monitoring while the entity is maintaining the specific environment, stalking me under a fake sun, which is also here in the morning. This is my shadow. They're all stalking as a business. They're stalking as a population, and they engage in what is making purchases while the entity is under the false impression that they have a defense under the federal law for making a purchase where it's an admission to criminal presence in the past pursuant to gang stalking. And they're all subject to federal prison. I just want to be clear on that. And this is the prosecution. Strict liability basis. I'm prosecuting 7-Eleven. I'm prosecuting Gulf. I'm prosecuting the entity that's stalking. They're losing their licensure. They're gang stalking on the roads and the highways. Union Pacific, you're talking about the entity that is gang stalking with the helicopter. Union Pacific doesn't even use the METROLINK train line. They're engaging in facilitation, massive stalking and targeting. The entities engaged in this. The employees of 7-Eleven are going to prison. Upland police that are crossing paths, gang stalking me, they're going to be subject to what is disbanding. And the entity is subject to the criminal pattern of conduct while I am, the entity is engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct while this fake sun remains over me, and it was sitting over the Upland Public Library all day long. It is currently 7:02 p.m. There is no natural environment where this coexists. This is how you know that this is a stalker, a psychopath, a vagina monitor, 7 David Sam 029, and that is federal prison. I just want to be clear on that. That is federal prison, as the target individual maintained evidence of who is stalking them in the shoes of the government that is doing so in furtherance of a criminal conspiracy to commit murder and kidnapping, which is the purpose of them stalking you and monitoring you every second of the day, everywhere that you're going. And while you do so with the government, you're going to prison when they're doing so as gang stalking police. You're going to prison when they're doing so gang stalking you by helicopter. That's how the government is able to accomplish it with them. And while they want to do that with the military and with the government, they're going to prison for it. That's P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that in Upland, California. This is the pattern of conduct, 7:02 p.m. The fake sun is over me in the morning at this same exact 7-Eleven, also aboard Omnitrans. This is already surrounded with evidence. Remember, the entity that's gang stalking me on this very street is the Upland police at the Chevron at 159 South Euclid. That's right here on the opposite side of the street. Doing so during the 10 a.m. hour. They're all going to prison. I documented them. While they're gang stalking, while at the 7-Eleven, and they're presenting evidence against themselves, and this is the entity that's committing poison. They're going to federal prison. Okay, selling me poisonous food products, tampering with the food while you're gang stalking, you're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. and this is a massive federal RICO case. So businesses like this no longer exist. They're going to compensate me, and damages are also coming from the people of the state. 7 Mary George Paul 323 is compensating the target individual that they're gang stalking, and they're also subject to federal prison while doing so. And you don't have to say anything to. You could sit there like a psychopath and ignore me if you want. They're stalking. You don't have to say anything while the entity provides evidence against her, and all of them stalking in a helicopter. While Union Pacific, remember that, is using the Metrolink train line. This is the P.O.C. Stalking in the path, license plate. These are the demons that go in bathrooms stalking. License 8 Sam Charlie Nancy 226. The city of Upland kept a fake son over me today. They're acting in furtherance of murder as a corrupt entity. They will be subject to martial law. This is P.O.C.